Hi, and welcome to My Story with CareCredit. We all have stories, but what makes these stories unique is that they are about people who are able to get life-changing treatment, procedures, or medical care for themselves, their family, and their pets. All of the people featured on My Story with CareCredit did it with their CareCredit credit card. CareCredit is a leading national healthcare credit card that can enable you to get many of the procedures and treatments you want now and pay over time with everyday promotional financing on purchases of $200 or more. CareCredit is accepted at hundreds of thousands of locations nationwide to pay for care whenever you need and want it. I'm your host, Amy Freena, and today we're talking with Krista, who has run a cat rescue for nearly 20 years. Krista shares how a foster fail resulted in an incredible bond with a very special kitty named Willow.
Hi, I'm Krista, and I've been a CareCredit card holder for 5 months now. I have been in cat rescue for about 20 years now. You kind of get sucked in, so I started fostering. Willow was probably my third kitty to foster. She actually had one eye that looked like a blue marble. It was this eye right here that was the big blue marble, and eventually my vet had told me this eye was probably going to have to come out. An ophthalmologist did the surgery, but not long after that, she started to get urinary infections and have some issues that led me to believe we had another problem going on. The vet discovered that she was going probably into kidney failure, and after having paid for her eye surgery, my funds were a little bit short. Someone had told me that I worked with in rescue about CareCredit. I applied for a CareCredit and was able to pay for her stay at the hospital and the beginning of her procedures and processes to heal her. After a few months, the vets decided that the kindest thing to do was to let her go. Had it not been for a CareCredit, I probably would have had to say bye sooner and not given her those last few months of good times, and they gave me several more months with her that I wouldn't have otherwise had. Thank you, CareCredit, for giving Willow and me a few more months together.
Krista, before we get into your CareCredit story, I have to ask, what is in the picture frame that you brought today?
This is Willow. Willow was my kitty. She was 7 years old. She's the reason I'm here.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell her story. And she was a rescue. I work in rescue, and she was a rescue kitty.
Okay.
I've been in rescue for about 20 years with my
Wow.
organization, and she was one that I fostered, and it became what they call a foster fail.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, you've
I
never
think I
heard
would
that?
have a lot
Oh,
of foster fails.
Yeah, it happens to just about everyone that fosters, at least at first. So you kind of get the hang of it, and but there's still a special kitty that comes along that, or dog if you're fostering dogs, that just tugs at your heart, and you're like, and you bring it up for adoption, and you're like, no, we're going home.
Yeah, this one's staying with me.
Yeah, and I've fostered many, many kitties since then, and a lot of people say that. Oh, how can you do that? I'd have 100 cats, and it's not for everybody. But if people didn't do it, we couldn't save as many as we do.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, the older kitties that come to you are tug on your strings a lot harder than the kittens. The kittens are a lot of work, and by the time you're taking them to the center, you're like, oh, here, have a nice life, bye bye,
See ya.
So that's Willow, and that's who she is.
Oh, hi, Willow. All right, so where does your CareCredit story begin?
It actually begins with Willow.
Okay.
I had her. She was, like I said, 7 years old. She came to me as what I would call a special needs kitty.
Okay.
When I saw her on Facebook, and it was she actually came from a different rescue group than I work with.
Okay.
And they had put a plea out for a foster for that kitty, and I saw her. They didn't know if she'd been hit by a car, but something had happened, and they had taken her to the vet, and they needed someone to take her, so I did. They brought her over to me, and I took care of her for about a week and reached back out to them and said, I think I'm going to keep her.
This one's mine.
This one's mine. So at that point, then I took her to my doctor.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see in the picture, but her left eye is a big, looks like a blue marble.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's a cataract, and I didn't know. So I took her to my vet, and they weren't exactly sure. They knew it wasn't a cataract. It was just, like I said, literally like a big blue marble in her eye. And they said, well, at this point, doesn't seem to be a concern. We'll just keep an eye on it. May have to come out eventually. So, I prepared for that. And everything else was okay, but she did have some health issues. We had some UTIs throughout her years, but came last year time to think about removing the eye. But shortly thereafter, she started having her urinary issues again. And so I took her to my vet, back to the regular vet, several times, and they did every test they could do and everything, and they're like, nothing seems to be working or fixing the issue, and recommended a specialist, diagnostic specialist that they partner with. So made an appointment, got her there. By the time I got her there, they did an ultrasound, more in-depth testing, and called me and said, we really think we ought to keep her. She needs fluids. She needs some major treatment to get her back on track. Here's what it's going to, they give you a plan and they send you the email with all the details, and all you see is that number at the end and go, oh, what am I going to do? And working in rescue, and it's a small, big family. You have other people that have been through this, and you kind of start talking to, and one of the girls that had recently had a cat with some serious issues said, oh, you got to look at CareCredit. That will help you if you're going to have to go through all this. At the time I just paid it on my credit card and got her there and got her started. But I went online, looked up the information she had told me, said, check it out, applied for a card, got it, approved that within just a few minutes.
Wow.
So the way the process works with this, at least this vet, they put all the charges up front. You pay it up front, and then depending on how things go through the treatment, they might reimburse you it.
Gotcha.
And so I just continued to use my CareCredit every time she went in for another round of tests or checkup or to buy more fluids.
Right.
Unfortunately, in December, she became very ill again. Took her back, hospitalized her again. But after about 24 hours, they didn't see any hope or any improvement. She stopped eating. And usually when they do that, you have to make a very hard decision. So I let her go in December. And
I'm so sorry.
thank you. It's still really recent, so it's still hard. I miss her, but I know I did the right thing. And the one thing that I wanted to tell her story, because CareCredit did give us a few more months where she felt good and we could spend time together. And I knew, when I got her, that there were some special needs and special issues, and she probably wasn't going to live that full life. I took her on anyway, but I sure was hoping for a little more time than I got.
Gosh, I bet.
So that's Willow's story.
I'm so sorry you've been through so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's okay.
She was
a special kitty.
And very lucky to have you as her mama.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I did everything I could for her.
I think you absolutely did.
Thank you.
And so let's turn this around to no more
tears. No more tears.
So you're still fostering
I am.
kitties.
I am.
Okay. And about how many do you have at a time?
Right now I just have 2 foster kitties, and I rotate them. We have a facility that we show them in. We leave them in the facility for about 2 to 3 weeks so people can come see them. Fostering is very critical. And actually I just took a foster we pulled him from a shelter, an animal shelter, and he's been with me for about almost a month. And he may be staying.
You had that look in your eye. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, this big boy just came along and kind of filled that void. Willow was very laid back and easygoing, just kind of liked to hang out, be be there. And he kind of is similar. Nothing will ever replace her, but it's always good to reopen your heart back up and rescue again and save again. It helps you heal. It gives you purpose, gives their life and meaning purpose, and you keep going.
I really admire your heart. You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
What's the new boy's name?
His name is Isaac.
Isaac.
Yep, that's the name he came with, and I think it's going to stick. He seems like an Isaac, although I kind of call him Big Boy. He's 18 pounds.
Whoa,
he's
big
a very
boy
big
indeed.
boy. And the interesting thing is, the owner, he was owner surrendered, and they had mentioned he has challenges with urinary issues. So I'm familiar. I know the drill. He's 3, so I'm hoping we get him on some good food and young enough and keep him healthy.
That's great.
So
that's so great. So being that you went through so much with Willow, and the specialist visits and everything, but you did get the CareCredit credit card.
I did.
And the promotional financing enabled you to just kind of take that off your plate at such an emotional time.
Yes.
Do you feel confident now moving forward that if you have issues with any of the other pets that need attention, that now you kind of have that in your pocket?
Yeah, it's definitely
there in case of emergencies. Hopefully you can, regular vet visits you can just pay for it, and the vets have, different programs and there's vet insurance. But I found this to be, like I said, it was a very emotional time. Had to make decisions that you weren't expecting, to come across, and just having that and being able to make that decision, and it's there, and it's taken care of, and you don't have to think about it during that time. Very easy process. Very the vets take the CareCredit, and I never knew. It's probably something I would have used previously had I known, but now I do.
So that was kind of my next question. Moving forward, are you going to only seek out vets or doctors or specialists that do, in fact, take CareCredit?
Yeah, and I had such a wonderful experience with my vet and the specialist that they will be, one that I stay with, one that I would recommend. And my rescue, we have a website, and we provide resources, just, different, because we have people reach out to us for all kinds of different things. They think they have to surrender because they can't take care of it.
Right.
So hopefully those resources provide, some answers in those situations. And now we have another, resource that we can put on that page and recommend to people in those situations.
Great. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
To wrap it all up, if you could write a review or tell your friends, which I'm sure you have told some,
I have.
About your experience with getting the CareCredit credit card, what would you say?
I would say, well, I highly recommend it, and it was a very easy process. Gave you peace of mind in a very difficult time, because I know it's there for many other things, but these kind of situations are very emotional and very challenging. And to have that in your back pocket as something that you can do when you didn't think you had those options. Right. I have recommended. I have a girlfriend that has a cat with diabetes and is looking at different plans, and reached out, said, "Can you talk to me about, you just went through some things," and I did, and that's one thing I shared with her. I said, ultimately, you have to decide what's right for you, but here's an option for you if you decide to continue to provide, care, and you need some help.
Yeah. Gosh, wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Very
we really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Krista and Willow's story really tugs at the heartstrings, but I'm glad the CareCredit credit card was there to help provide peace of mind in such an emotional time. Remember, CareCredit is a leading national healthcare credit card that can enable you to get many of the procedures and treatments you want now and pay over time with everyday promotional financing on purchases of $200 or more. CareCredit is accepted at hundreds of thousands of locations nationwide to pay for care whenever you need and want it. If you are interested in applying for a CareCredit credit card or would like to find a provider in your area who accepts CareCredit, visit us at carecredit.com.